IP Manchow left me sick and feverish in the suburbs, just to accompany his first love to see the sea. He spent 6 years teaching me to be independent, but told his first love that he deserved to be loved by the whole world, so I really didn't need him anymore. Fang Xiyu shouted excitedly on the phone. IP Manchow, did you hear the sound of the waves? IP Manchow's face changed drastically, and he stepped on the brakes. Oh, where are you? Fang Xiyu chuckled. I was in a bad mood at first, but when I came to the beach, I felt the long-lost peace. IP Manchow, the sea was so dark at night. I was a little scared, but my feet dug into the sand. I felt very at ease again. The sea water is so cold. I'm a little cold. If you're cold, then I'll take you to eat hot pot. Okay? It's the one you said has delicious tripe. Yi Wenzhou's voice was steady, but his hand holding the phone was shaking. Finally, he found Fang Xiyu in the positioning, a flashing red dot. He wanted to turn the car around, and I held his hand. Yi Wenzhou then remembered that there was me in the car. Because of my obstruction, his face looked a little ugly, and his eyes were subconsciously fierce. I smiled helplessly and pressed the mute button on the call interface. Let me get off first. I still have to go to the hospital. I have a fever, 38.9 degrees. We left early at a friend's party just to send me to the hospital. But Fang Xiyu's phone call made Yi Wenzhou forget about my existence. Yi Wenzhou embarrassed my aunt. I know what Yi Wenzhou wants to say. It's nothing more than Fang Xiyu's situation is more urgent. He needs her more. And I'm just sick with a fever. I'm not a child. Can I handle it myself? Before he finishes speaking, I nodded sympathetically. I understand, you go find him. I'll go to the hospital by myself. And then I got out of the car. I watched the car stand still for 5 seconds. Then the car turned around and sped away. Fang Xiyu was Yi Wenzhou's first love. In order to pursue her in college, Yi Wenzhou, who was allergic to mangoes, ate a box of mangoes, but in the end, Fang Xiyu still abandoned him for a better choice. This made Yi Wenzhou fall into self-deprecation for a time. I did not save him. When I met him, he had already walked out of the pain of a broken heart. At that time, he was confident, mature, steady, and introverted. He was my life mentor. He made me a better person, but not in the way I like. Fang Xiyu was the him who suddenly appeared 2 years ago. The so-called better choice not only cheated on her, but also abused her. Fang Xiyu was depressed, severely depressed. Yi Wenzhou was her psychologist. She said that she had let go of the current Fang Xiyu a long time ago. To her, she was a patient. It was true at the beginning until Fang Xiyu stopped paying, until Yi Wenzhou said to her affectionately that night, "You deserve to be loved by the whole world." Today is the birthday party of Yi Wenzhou's friend. For after a great time, he found a farm on the outskirts of the city. The environment was really good and there were all kinds of attractions, but the location was too remote. After 10 minutes, there was still no one to take the order on the taxi app, and I couldn't stand because of the fever. I squatted on the side of the road, hesitating whether to call 120. Suddenly, a car drove over in the distance. Zhang Xini, why are you here? I squinted to identify it. It seemed to be Shui, a childhood friend of Yi Wenzhou. I asked him to get out of the car and help me up. What's wrong with you? Where's Lao Yi? I didn't want to spread the word about Yi Wenzhou's actions. I just prayed. Can you take me to the hospital? I may not be able to hold on. I wasn't lying when I said I couldn't hold on. As soon as I got in the car, I closed my eyes dizzy. In a trance, I heard Shui Rang calling Yi Wenzhou. He said even if something happened, even if Fang Xiyu was going to jump into the sea and commit suicide in the next second, you call us, none of us can't send your wife to the hospital. If I hadn't left temporarily, he would have fainted on the roadside and no one would have cared. He is not a child, of course not a child. But you forgot that this is in the suburbs. He can conjure up a car. Yi Wenzhou, you are such a beast, although Yi Wenzhou's behavior did not have much impact on me. But when I heard someone stand up for me, I still couldn't help but raise the corners of my mouth, probably because I was relaxed. I fell asleep directly in the second half, and woke up again in the second half of the night. There was no message from Yi Wenzhou on my phone, and no missed calls. Instead, Shui Rang sent me a text message, saying that Shui Rang, had something to do and left first. I hired a nurse for you. Wake up and report that you are safe. I replied to him that I woke up and said, "It's okay. Thank you." After thinking about it, I added, "I'll treat you to dinner when I have time." I left the next morning after finishing the infusion. I asked for a day off from the company and went directly to my friend's law firm. I was received by my friend's subordinate. He handed me the divorce agreement and told me that I could contact me at any time if I needed to file a lawsuit. I thought it was unnecessary, but I nodded and thanked him. When I got home, Yi Wenzhou was not there. I went to see him based on the furnishings in the house. He didn't come back all night, so I didn't call him. I took out my suitcase and started packing. There were fewer and fewer things about me in this house. There were only 3 pairs of shoes left in the shoe cabinet, and only this quarter's clothes in the closet. I had already moved out of the study. Last week, I moved all the computer files to the new home. As for other daily necessities, it would be better to destroy them than to move them away, which is time-consuming and laborious. I went back and forth 8 times and threw away all the things. I just waited for Yi Wenzhou in the living room with a suitcase standing upright. He arrived home at about 6 o'clock. When he saw the suitcase, he was stunned and asked, "Are you going on a business trip?" I said, "No, I'm moving out." "What do you mean?" I took out the divorce agreement and asked, "Let's get a divorce." Yi Won-jo paused for a few seconds. He pushed me away irritably and said, "Don't make trouble. I haven't slept all night and I'm tired enough." I tried to make my tone calmer and said, "I'm not making trouble. Take a look. If you are not satisfied with anything, we will discuss it. If you are serious," I sneered at Yi Won-jo and said, "Zhang Sini, are you threatening me? A mature adult should not do such a thing. Things like divorce and running away from home, you are not a child anymore, and so on. I have heard similar words too many times. At first I blamed myself, then I was angry, and now there is no ripple. I insisted on handing him the divorce agreement and said, "Take a look at it. If there is no problem, sign at the end." Zhang Sini said, "That's enough." Yi Won-jo growled at him and said, "If you do this again, I will take it seriously." I looked at him silently, and finally he looked away fiercely. He snatched the divorce agreement from my hand, without even looking at it, and turned to the back and signed his name. He told me to get out viciously, but I still reminded him to meet at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Yi Won-jo and I met on a blind date. At that time, I had just turned 20 and had not graduated from college yet. I went there for fun and was shocked to see Yi Won-jo. Tianren, I couldn't help but sigh. Is the quality of the blind date market so high now? Yi Won-jo laughed in silence. We understood that neither of us had that intention. So we exchanged a few words of greeting, left each other's phone numbers, and parted. I called Yi Won-jo 3 months later because he is a psychologist. "Dr. Yi, I want to ask you, if I heard my toothbrush talking to me, what do you say this means?" Yi Won-jo said, "It means you need to see me." I did a lot of tests and evaluations that day, and Yi Won-jo led me all the time. Later he told me that you are sick and need to take medicine, but I don't think I am sick. Yi Won-jo chuckled, and I got it after taking it for a while. That was a period of time when I was very dependent on Yi Won-jo. He was very patient, he was gentle and smiled, and he told me it's okay, Xiaomao, I cured the disease well. It took him a year to cure me and I half a year to chase him. Then we fell in love and got married. It has been 6 years now. We haven't even waited for the 7-year itch, and we have already gone our separate ways. But fortunately, I have let it go. I took a photo of the divorce agreement and posted a circle of friends. The first person to explode was my mother. She called me one after another, and received messages one after another. I glanced at her and the words in them were either mean or shameless. In order to avoid going to the hospital for a heart attack, I blocked her directly. Sure enough, the world became quiet. The next second, Su Qin called me. She is my best girlfriend now. You are the first person who knows that I want a divorce. He said, I know you really want a divorce, but isn't it a bit too early to celebrate now? I smiled and said, no. To celebrate, I sent it to Yi Won-jo. What does it mean? He might think I am sulking. If I don't push him, he won't go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. Yi Won-jo is 6 years older than me. My mother once said that a 6-year gap between a man and a woman is not good, and the 6 zodiac clashes are unlucky. However, Yi Won-jo's conditions are too good, which directly defeated the feudal superstition and made my mother think that I had accumulated virtue in my previous life. Because of the 6-year gap, Yi Won-jo always treats me as a child. When he is good to me, it's like caring for a child. When he is not good to me, it's like scolding a child. But the sentence he always says is, you are no longer a child. My circle of friends worked. The next morning, when I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, Yi Won-jo was already standing there. But he was not alone. Fang Xiu was there too. He looked at me with a helpless expression. I was shocked when I heard Wen-jo say that you were going to divorce. You can't be so impulsive. If it's because of what happened the night before yesterday, can I apologize to you? It's ridiculous. He used a tone of coaxing a child, but the provocation in his eyes could not be concealed. I curled the corners of my mouth. Then you say it. What apology? Don't you want to apologize? Fang Xiu was stunned, but she reacted quickly. She held Yi Won-jo's wrist. Seems that my aunt is really angry. Won-jo, please help me say something. Yi Won-jo had a cold face. Is he a child? He still needs coaxing. Won-jo, don't be like this. Didn't you promise me that you would have a good talk with your aunt? I interrupted him. Miss Fang, I'm very curious. You always call me Yi. Are we familiar with each other? Fang Xiu turned pale. Yi Won-jo said in a low voice, Hey, Zhang Sini, where are your manners? I'm a little annoyed. If I remember correctly, the purpose of today is to get the certificate, so Yi Won-jo, are you delaying time? Yi Won-jo's face darkened and he was stubborn. We entered the Civil Affairs Bureau one after the other. After completing the divorce registration, the staff reminded us to come back a month later to get the certificate. When we came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Yi Won-jo asked me when I would collect your things. I looked at him in surprise and said, You didn't notice? What did you notice? There was no longer any of my things in that house. In fact, it was understandable that Yi Won-jo didn't notice. In the 2nd year of our marriage, he proposed sleeping in separate rooms. He said that even as a couple, They needed independent space so that the relationship between the sexes could last. At that time, I really trusted him, even though I wanted to sleep in the same bed with him more. I still agreed. From then on, even if we had sex every week, he would get up and leave after we were done. I held him and acted like a spoiled child a few times, asking him if he could accompany me. He always looked at me as if he was a naughty child. We must do what we said and not go back on our word. Later, one time, his friend came to our house and accidentally caught Yi Wonjo sleeping in the guest room. He teased Yi Wonjo if I had driven him there. Yi Wonjo said that they should sleep in separate rooms. It was me who brought it up. Why is he so clingy? I was not surprised that my mother would come to the door when I was a little annoyed. I told him the address of the new house, not because of the deep mother-daughter love, but because I understand him. If he can't find where I live, he will go to my company. If he can't see me at the company, I would go to Yi Wonjo, and the person I least wanted to be entangled with was Yi Wonjo. During the time when I was sick, Yi Wonjo analyzed my father with me, analyzed the reasons for his behavior, and the real purpose behind it. My mother was transparent in front of Yi Wonjo, and Yi Wonjo could see through her self-righteous cleverness at a glance. After Yi Wonjo saw through it, the half-smile he showed to me made me uncomfortable. Yi Wonjo wanted to divorce you. Did you do something to make her angry? Why are you so troublesome and still post on WeChat moments with a flattering face? Aren't you ashamed? I told you to have a baby quickly. You are almost 30 and you don't even have a child. Why are you so useless? Why am I so miserable? As soon as you go out, others say that you are sick and can't have children, but you can give me some face. I am not well fed and sleep well every day, and I am not even in the mood to play cards. No matter what, you can talk to Zhou properly. If you dare to divorce him, I will not recognize you as my daughter. I have heard the same old rhetoric countless times. They can no longer arouse my negative emotions, but I still can't help asking him, you don't care why we want a divorce, why you can't even keep your own man, and you still have the nerve to say why, Zhang Xini, I tell you, if you dare to divorce, don't call me mom anymore. I follow your advice, okay, auntie. My mother was stunned for a few seconds, and then screamed, Zhang Xini. She looked like she was having a heart attack because of me. You can't stand to see me well, right? You have to piss me off to death, right? What did I do wrong I can't bear with you? I raised you with great difficulty, and this is how you repay me. You are going to drive me to death. I looked at the hysterical and crazy roaring woman in front of me. In fact, she did not have a complete outlook on life. She did not know what should be done and what should not be done. She was very chaste now, as if divorce would violate the law of heaven. But it was him in the past. When my boss wanted to take advantage of me, he asked for 50,000 yuan. That was the summer job he found for me. He was the president of a real estate development company and was my father's high school classmate. He asked me to go and study finance with him. I went, and the man I could call uncle blocked me in the car after getting drunk again. He said that as long as I was willing, we could go to get a room right now and he would give me 5,000 yuan a month. I was scared. I told my mother about this with trembling eyes. She was silent for a long time. 5,000 is too little. You tell her 50,000. You should agree when she raises it to 50,000. At that moment, I was numb. I resigned numbly and went to school numbly. But she didn't let me go. She forced me to go back to that company, saying that if I didn't hand over the matter clearly, how would he face that person, the person who wanted to take advantage of me? It was at that time that I became a patient of Ip Man Chow because of severe depression. I took a kitchen knife from the kitchen and threw it in front of my mother. She shrank her neck and fell silent instantly. What do you want to do? I said, it's up to you. You can commit suicide or chop me, whatever makes you happy. But I'm going to get a divorce. There was deathly silence. My mother looked at me with some fear. Oh, it's too ugly to use a knife. I dragged her to the window and said, how about I jump with you? You don't want to live anyway, so I'll give you a life. My mother fled in panic. When she reached the door, she said viciously, if you want to die, do it yourself. 最子已战过了梦师，我会一直在睡眠了梦师，我会一直在生病，我只想拉着你的给的买物，我会把我弄死，不要拉撸。I'm dead. Don't drag me into this. Finally the world was quiet. I lay down on the floor. My mind was empty, and I fell asleep just like that. I was woken up by a call from Yi Wonjo. He asked me what to do with the shopkeeper's bags and jewelry. Took me a long time to react to what he was talking about. They were all given by you, and now they are returned to the original owner. Yi Wonjo said in a cold voice that there is no reason to take back the things I gave away, so just throw them away. After that, I hung up the phone. I wanted to block Yi Wonjo, but when I thought about the need to contact him when getting the divorce certificate, I gave up. I thought that with Yi Wonjo's character, once he hit a wall with me, he would not take the initiative again. But what I didn't expect was that he called me again on the 4th day. At that time, I was fulfilling my contract and inviting Shui Rang to dinner. Shui Rang looked quite cold, but in reality he was quite gentle. His gentleness was different from Yi Wonjo's gentleness. Yi Wonjo's gentleness showed that his heart was cold, and Shui Rang has a kind of heaviness that has been precipitated by time. I expressed my gratitude to him. He asked me how my health was recovering, and then we talked about each other's work. He was a little surprised to hear that I was working in a tax firm now. I smiled and said that I passed the CPA exam 2 years ago and changed jobs. Shui Rang nodded and said, "That's great." He then said, "It's old Yi who is short-sighted." I lowered my eyes. I guess he still doesn't know that I changed jobs. In Yi Wenzhou's eyes, I have always been useless. Just like when I told him that I wanted to take the CPA exam, his reaction was, "Don't waste time on things beyond your ability." Shui Rang is not a gossipy person, and this topic was quickly taken over. We chatted for a few more words and finished dinner. When we walked out of the restaurant, Yi Wenzhou called and asked me where the shower gel was at home. I was silent and suddenly Fang Shiyu's voice came from inside. "Forget it. Why did you really call your aunt?" Words, what should I do if she misunderstood? "I won't wash." I chuckled. "There is shower gel on the bottom layer of the locker, and the bathrobe is on the top. Have fun, wait." Yi Wenzhou's voice was very urgent. "Don't let your imagination run wild." You and I were having dinner nearby, and the waiter accidentally spilled the soup on him. I wanted to say you don't have to explain to me, but I stepped on empty air. Fortunately, Shui Rang supported me. He said, "Be careful." Yi Wenzhou was silent. After a few seconds, he growled, "Who are you with?" I frowned with boredom. "We have divorced and have nothing to do with weddings and funerals." Shui Rang said, "If you need, I can go and explain to Lao Yi." I looked at him. "You don't believe that I really want to divorce him?" Shui Rang looked at me for a long time, and finally he said, "I believe." I curled the corners of my mouth. "Thank you." I thought I had made my words clear enough, but Yi Wenzhou started bombarding me with calls and even found my home. When Shui Rang sent me to the gate of the community, Yi Wenzhou, he rushed down from the car, raised his fist and hit Shui Rang in the face. "I treat you as a brother, but you seduced my wife." Shui Rang took the blow. Yi Wenzhou wanted to make another move, but was clamped by Shui Rang. He said, "Enough." I rushed over and pushed Yi Wenzhou away. "What are you doing?" Yi Wenzhou looked at me. In disbelief, "You protected him." I clenched my teeth. "You are sick." Fang Shiyu came late. He took Yi Wenzhou's hand and looked at me disapprovingly. "Oh, you are willful. Even if you are angry, you should not provoke the brotherhood between Zhou and Arung." Shui Rang smiled coldly. "Arung, do I know you well?" Fang Shiyu's face turned pale. "Shui Rang knew that you don't like me. You know I don't like you, so don't say anything." "Enough." Yi Wenzhou always subconsciously defended Fang Shiyu. He stepped forward, blocked in front of Fang Shiyu, looked at Shui Rang coldly. "When did you start?" I spit out a breath of foul air unbearably. "Yi Wenzhou didn't invite you. You are dirty. Everything you see is dirty." Fang Shiyu interrupted. "But you sat down from the co-pilot seat of Shui Rang's car. Isn't the co-pilot seat only for girlfriends?" I tilted my head to look at him, so Fang Shiyu looked aggrieved. I said I was carsick. "Listen to this. Only the officials are allowed to set fires, and the people are not allowed to light lamps. Everyone can see that he is making a fuss and making specious arguments. Only Yi Wenzhou is a blind man." I looked at Yi Wenzhou tiredly. "What on earth do you want to do? Why can't you let me go? Do I deserve to be tortured by you?" Yi Wenzhou looked confused. "Tortured? You tortured me?" I had no expression. "How did you know I lived here?" asked my mother. "You know my mother better than me. You know very well. As long as you take the initiative to find her, she will think we still have hope. She will come to bother me over and over again, but you don't care because how to deal with the relationship between me and my mother is my own business. It has nothing to do with you." This is what Yi Wenzhou said to me in person. "Yes, she is your mother. You have to learn to deal with your relationship with her by yourself instead of asking me every time. Otherwise, what is the point of my treatment for you for so long?" "But what about her?" I raised my finger and pointed at Fang Shiyu. "You can help him deal with everything. You taught him how to get along with his friends and family. Why is it so? Because in your eyes, Yi Wenzhou, Fang Shiyu, deserves to be loved by the whole world. But I, Zhang Xini, deserve it. I have to take care of everything by myself. I took care of Yi Wenzhou. You have taught me to fight the whole world alone, so I don't need you anymore." Because of Yi Wenzhou and Fang Shiyu, I took him home for no reason. But he didn't go in. He just said to me at the door to have a good rest and good night. I am a little sorry for him, but I was too tired, physically and mentally exhausted, and I didn't even have the strength to speak. In the end, I could only nod and watch him leave. Yi Wenzhou wanted to talk to me, and I agreed. We met again in his studio. I asked for it. I hope my conversation with him can be more rational. Yi Wenzhou still looked superior. He said that I was wrong this time. I shouldn't have left you to find Ayu. It's just that Ayu's situation was too urgent at the time. I was afraid that he would not be able to get over it. It's a life I can't just sit back and watch. He is my patient, you should understand, but I promise you that I will handle my relationship with him well. This statement is like Yi Wenzhou slapping someone in the face and giving you a candy. I thought about it. It was about half a year ago. Fang Shiyu was rear-ended and called you. You stayed up all night the night before, but you still rushed over in a hurry after receiving Fang Shiyu's call. Afterwards, you explained to me that Fang Shiyu had no choice but to contact no one except you. Yi Wenzhou frowned. What do you want to say? I want to ask you, if it was me who rear-ended someone, would you go? Of course, Yi Wenzhou was stuck. He should have also remembered what happened a month ago because of the freezing. The fluid pipe was old and broke, and the car exploded halfway. That day, because my car was sent for maintenance, I drove his car. As it should be, I wanted to ask him how to deal with it. He said that if you are attacked, call the police, call 120 if you are sick, and contact the repair shop if there is a problem with the car. Zhang Xini, this is common sense. Yi Wenzhou took off his glasses and pinched the root of his nose irritably. Zhang Xini, please be reasonable. The reason I said that day was because we had a fight the night before. I nodded, yes, we had a fight, so as long as I don't admit my mistake and don't bow my head, you will punish me in all ways. Shouldn't I admit my mistake when I did something wrong? I stood up in pain. The most wrong thing I have done in my life is to marry you. Lee Won-jo held me, what do you want? I looked at him coldly. I want you not to regret it when the month is up. The boldest thing I have done in my life is to pursue Lee Won-jo. He helped me when I was most helpless, so that I once felt that I could not live without him. That was the first time I experienced what it meant to lose my appetite and not want to see Lee Won-jo. I was visibly haggard. I didn't know what happened to me. I only knew that I wanted to be with him. I was indeed in love at that time. I was clingy, jealous, and suspicious, which were all things Lee Won-jo didn't like. So he broke me down bit by bit, and then reshaped me. Time passed quickly when Lee Won-jo didn't look for me again. I went out on 2 business trips, and when I came back, the guard told me that my mother had looked for me 3 times and was stopped by them. Fong Shiyu got my phone number from somewhere, and she sent me a message blaming me, because you asked Zhou and Rang to have a complete falling out. Are you satisfied now? I don't want to pay attention to this person who doesn't know what he is. But I still called Shui Rang. If you need it, I can explain to Lee Won-jo. Shui Rang didn't answer, but asked if you need it. If not, I don't need it either. I was silent. Rang spoke up and said, I'm back. How do you know? He said, I went to your firm to find you for something. The finance department of a subordinate branch suddenly has to resign and they can't find a suitable one for the time being. They wanted to ask you if you would do the accounting. I said I'm quite expensive. Shui Rang chuckled and said I should be able to afford it if I try hard. I also laughed and said okay, I'll come to talk to you in detail tomorrow. Then I hung up the phone. I think I was wrong. The conversation with Shui Rang was very pleasant. The branch didn't have much business, so it was more cost-effective to outsource the accounting. After agreeing on the price, we signed the contract. Shui Rang raised his wrist and looked at the time. He said he had a meeting and would not keep you. I breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that I was indeed wrong. Okay, you go ahead. Lee Won-jo found me again on the 12th day. He looked a little depressed. He said you changed jobs and didn't even tell me. I frowned. What on earth are you going to do? Lee Won-jo looked at me. Are you really going to get a divorce? Otherwise, why? Su Qing often said, when I and Lee Won-jo in our relationship, although he is 6 years older than me, I was the one who spoiled him. I satisfied everything Lee Won-jo wanted and did everything Lee Won-jo asked of him, so he was unscrupulous and also lost the ability to reflect. This is the last time, let's talk. This time I was the one who spoke. I told you, Won-jo, I told you when I took the CPA exam, but you said frankly that I couldn't pass it. I also told you when I changed jobs, but you didn't believe it and thought I was dreaming, including buying a house. I didn't hide it from you. I started decorating the new house last year and I started moving things 2 months ago, all under your nose. Why don't you ask yourself, why can't you see and hear it? Lee Won-jo was very confused, but you were obviously not like this before. I smiled sarcastically. Thanks to your mother. My mother is not a good life mentor. She never told me what to do and what not to do. She also never told me etiquette, righteousness, integrity, and shame. All of these are what I figured out by myself through trial and error, so my 3 views were formed very late. When I first got together with Lee Won-jo, she would always shake her head in disappointment at me and lament how you couldn't even do these and what your family taught you. If I heard such words now, I would definitely fight back calmly, but I used to feel really ashamed and felt that I was wrong. You have taught me a lot of truths and have always held me to the standards of a saint. I cannot be weak. I cannot have negative emotions. I cannot ask you for help. And every word that comes out of my mouth must be positive. I cannot speak ill of others. I cannot complain about my dissatisfaction with my work. I cannot be without common sense. And I cannot be content with pleasure. You are always blaming me, and you have broken my self-esteem inch by inch and thrown it on the ground. Lee Won-jo, do you know that I once thought about committing suicide because it was too painful? I even went to pray to Buddha. I asked for a stick. I forgot what was written on it, and I also forgot what the person who interpreted the stick said. I only remember that I kept crying and crying, as if I had shed all the tears in my life. Lee Won-jo's face turned pale, his lips trembled, and he said hesitantly, You are my wife. I just hope you become better. Lee Won-jo, you are a psychologist. You might as well use your professional knowledge to think about what you have done to me. Are they cool? I raised my hand to stop him. Think about it carefully first. Lee Won-jo had shattered my self-esteem inch by inch, and I picked it up piece by piece, and then sewed it and became who I am now. On the 18th day, Lee Won-jo appeared downstairs of my house. He called me and said, I was wrong. I will change. Please forgive me. Okay? I will no longer contact Fong Shiyu in the future, and I will no longer do those things that you don't like. What do you want to do to forgive me? Then I will compensate you with my life. Okay? He swallowed a whole box of mangoes, 1 bite at a time, in a panic. His cheeks and lips began to swell, and a rash was visible on his exposed arms. He did not stop. When the ambulances came one by one, he was already having difficulty breathing. I did not show up until he was dragged into the ambulance. The light of expectation in his eyes slowly dimmed, and he fainted with his eyes closed. The first person to find me about this was Fong Shiyu. The jealousy in his eyes could hardly be concealed. Why did he still love me when he was obviously still in love with me? That was obviously the proof of his love for me. You were obviously going to get a divorce. Zhang Xini, what on earth did you do? I looked at Fang Xiyu. In fact, I have always hated you, but I did not stop you from contacting Ip Man Zhou. Do you know why? I asked myself and answered myself. Because your appearance saved me, because of Fang Xiyu's appearance, because of Ip Man Zhou. Looking at Fang Xiyu's lost look, I suddenly realized that Ip Man Zhou was also an ordinary person. He is not the god I worship on the altar. He is even a little dirty. The second person who came to me was my mother. She didn't understand and asked Zhou to do this. What else do you want? You have been taking it for long enough and you still don't step down. I don't understand either. Yuan Zhou has always hoped that I would cut off contact with you and asked me to stop supporting you. And you still want me to be with him. My mother changed her face, turned around and ran away. The third person who came to me was Shui Rang. I thought it was also for Yuan Zhou. But he said he had a business trip. We rushed to the branch overnight, handed over the work with the finance who was about to go abroad, and sorted out the accounts in hand. Because of time constraints, we could only stay there. Shui Rang said mysteriously that he would take me out to play. After many twists and turns, we arrived in front of a quaint building complex. I thought this was some kind of ancient town entertainment project, but Shui Rang told me that this was Qing Bar Street. Is there any business here? Shui Lang sighed. If I had heard you say this earlier, I would not have invested, he said with regret. He listened to the advice of his friends, did not check anything, did a loss-making business, did not make any money, but did hone his bartending skills. I sat in front of the bar, watching his smooth operation. The only two customers in the bar came over and asked him to mix a drink. Shui Rang smiled and pushed the glass in front of me. Sorry, on this special night, Shui Rang became my exclusive bartender. I drank a lot, a little tipsy but not drunk. The music in the bar was just right, the temperature was just right, and even the wind blowing in from the half-open window was just right. I was so comfortable that I felt a little dizzy. Shui Rang asked me if I was happy. I nodded happily. Yuan Zhou said that as long as I went to the hospital to see him once, he would not regret the divorce. I went there and saw me, he smiled, but his smile was ugly. So these days you didn't block me, were willing to see me, and talk to me, just afraid that I would regret it. I nodded. He asked again if you hated me very much. I honestly answered that I hated him. There was a time when I hated Yuan Zhou very much. I hated meeting him, I hated that I loved him, but later, as I took the CPA exam and changed jobs, I gradually felt relieved. I said to Yuan Zhou, I understand me if I had the chance to do it all over again. I would definitely make the same choice. The 20-year-old Zhang Xini needed Yuan Zhou, either you, Yuan Zhou, or other Yuan Zhou. Would I be able to live a better life with other people? It was different. I was really bad at that time because I attached myself to others. But fortunately you pushed me away. Although the process was painful, fortunately the result was what I wanted. Yuan Zhou, I don't hate you anymore. It's not that you are not hateful, but I don't want to dwell on the past. But I also don't forgive you. Now I just want to leave. Yuan Zhou did what he said and he didn't regret it. We successfully obtained the divorce certificate. He asked me if we could still be friends in the future. I laughed. You are a psychologist. What do you think? I always remember what Yuan Zhou once said. The past cannot be changed, but the future has infinite possibilities. People always have to grow up. It doesn't matter if you stumble or get bruised. Don't look back and move forward. After the divorce, I decisively blocked and deleted Yuan Zhou and people related to him. The only person I kept was Shui Rang. For months after the divorce, Shui Rang told me that Yuan Zhou was reported by someone. The reason for the report was that he had an ambiguous relationship with the patient. The reporter, Fang Xiyu, raised Yuan Zhou was not affected by the false information, but Fang Xiyu did not give up. She directly released a big move, saying that Yuan Zhou seduced her during her treatment. She had chat records with Yuan Zhou, photos of them hugging each other, and a video of them kissing during a half-price promotion for couples in a store. Shui Rang did not seem to expect that there would be such detailed content in the news. He was in a panic and wanted to turn off his phone. I said lightly that I knew everything. He was silent. I smiled bitterly. Do you want to ask me why I knew everything and didn't leave him at the first time? I didn't interrupt him. At that time, I was taking off my clothes. Shackles, I want to escape. I have to open the chains that trapped my limbs first. But I am useless, I can't find the key, so I can only break my limbs. The sudden silence around me is actually quite embarrassing. Just as I was thinking about saying something to break the silence, Shui Rang patted my shoulder and said, You are already very good. I worked for Shui Rang for a year until he found a suitable finance again. During this year, we went to the branch once a month. On that day of every month, he would make me a cocktail and he paid me very well. In return, I also treated him to dinner many times. Just like that, we became friends inexplicably. Friends, Su Qin asked him if he wanted to pursue me. I shook my head and said probably not. Then do you like him? I was a little confused. I never thought about not liking him. Su Qin shook his head. I advise you not to set your mind because of Fang Xiyu's report. Yuan Zhou was fired. His resume had a stain. It was difficult to find a good job. But even at this point, he refused to be with Fang Xiyu. Fang Xiyu finally gave up after returning empty-handed. I heard that Yuan Zhou started doing business, but it was not doing well. My bestie asked me if I was happy. I nodded and was quite happy. I will give my mother alimony every month, but I don't see her very often. She said I was narrow-minded. He actually still holds a grudge. I will let it go after listening to him. I will still provide for him in his old age, but I have taken back all my feelings for him, whether love or hate. This state makes me very comfortable. My birthday is at the end of the year. Because I have few friends and I have reached this age, I don't have any expectations for my birthday, but Shui Rang treated me to a meal and celebrated my birthday. There were my favorite dishes and cakes on the table. He gave me 2 gifts, one for a happy birthday and one for me to be his girlfriend. I promised that I would be happy and that I would be his girlfriend. After all the twists and turns, he didn't even try to pursue her. I smiled. I like it. Getting along with him, the love of adults has our tacit understanding, which does not need to be vigorous or require vows of eternal love. It is enough if it is suitable. But I still couldn't help asking Shui Rang, when did you start to like me? I was not so self-indulgent as to think that he had a crush on me for many years, but I always felt that he had been treating me well from a long time ago. Shui Rang thought about it and said, I didn't have a deep impression of you at first. I just thought you were Yi Wenzhou's little wife, small in stature, young in age, not talking much, but very well behaved. Until one time, I accompanied my mother to burn incense. Shui Rang was impatient to do such things. His mother went to listen to the chanting, and he was wandering around aimlessly. He ran into Zhang Xini, who was crying bitterly. Shui Rang's first reaction was to avoid her. No one wants to be seen in such a miserable state by people they know. But he didn't leave in the end, because Zhang Xini was crying so hard. She sobbed and curled up like that, as if her muscles and bones were being pulled out. Shui Rang took a photo and wanted to send it to Ip Man Chao to let him deal with it, but he didn't send it in the end. That was Ip Man Chao's wife. If he could get comfort from Ip Man Chao, he would run to the temple to cry. Shui Rang thought, forget it, don't do unnecessary things, but he did it in the end. He bought a pack of tissues and handed them to Zhang Xini, but he was short of words, and in the end he could only say 3 words, don't cry. Zhang Xini didn't remember who handed him the tissues, but Shui Lang engraved the despair in his eyes firmly in his heart. At first, Shui Lang didn't want to do anything. He was a non-marriageist. He didn't want to get married, nor did he want to have the trouble of falling in love, not to mention that she was his friend's wife. But every time at a party, he would always pay more attention to her, wanting to see if he was still so sad, and wondering if he could do something to make him not so sad. So in KTV, he would pretend to be unintentional. He directed the waiter to put the fruit plate on his table. When the vermicelli it liked was about to be turned away, it would raise its hand and press the turntable. However, there were not many such opportunities. Shui Rang thought it didn't matter. At least I was there. Let it be happy. These didn't mean anything. It would also bring food to the stray cats downstairs. It did things for no purpose. Until they started to get a divorce. When Yi Wenzhou misunderstood them, he didn't explain. First, he was increasingly disgusted with some of Yi Wenzhou's behaviors in the past 2 years. Second, he just wanted to express his attitude. This girl was quite pitiful. He occupied the girl. He never thought that he would be with Zhang Xini, and he was a non-marriageist until his friend exposed his mistake. Are you playing a cruel crush? He had a crush on Zhang Xini. He had a crush on Zhang Xini. Shui Rang faced the reality and it took him 2 days. He took a breath and wanted to get married. What happened? Shui Rang and Zhang Xini got married in the 2nd year of their relationship. Yi Wenzhou also came, but was stopped by Shui Rang. Goodbye, don't make him unhappy on his big day. Yi Wenzhou scolded Shui Rang for being hypocritical, saying that he had planned it for a long time, that he had bad intentions, and that they had been hooking up for a long time. Shui Rang sighed. If I wasn't afraid of getting the dress wrinkled, I really want to beat you up. He walked to halfway through, he turned back and said to Yi Wenzhou, really? Don't insult him and make it seem like he had an affair during his marriage. That won't do. Zhang Xini is innocent and Zhang Xini is the one who was bullied. After marriage, Shui Rang and Zhang Xini have been living in a world of 2. Shui Rang doesn't want children. Following his non-marriage policy, he finds that he wants to be a dink. His mother says that he has his own way, but she doesn't force him. After all, it's a blessing that he is willing to get married. His mother thinks that her daughter-in-law is 6 years younger than him and should be able to see him off to the end of his life. But in fact, Shui Rang is nervous. She doesn't want to hide it from Zhang Xini, but she is also afraid that she will not accept it. As a result, Zhang Xini just said, oh, after hearing it, I don't want to have a baby either. In fact, Zhang Xini was also hesitating about how to tell Shui Rang that it is not kind to marry someone and not have children with them, but she really doesn't have the confidence to be a good mother. Her first half of life was too miserable, and she was lucky to be able to heal herself in the second half of her life. A proposition like life is too heavy. If he can't hand in a satisfactory answer, he would rather not answer it. But fortunately, the 2 of them reached a consensus. The only one who complained about this was Su Qin. You believe him, but he used to be a non-marriageist. If one day he wants a baby again, what will you do? Men can have children at any time. Zhang Xini is very calm about this. The focus is wrong. The proposition is that I don't want to have a baby, and he doesn't want it either, so we agree and then get married. Whether he wants to have a baby is his will, and not wanting to have a baby is my position. If we can agree, we'll be together. If we can't, we'll separate. It's that simple, but isn't it sad? Zhang Xini raised her head from the report. Shouldn't she not start because she's afraid of getting hurt? I can't live my whole life in fear. Hearing these words, Shui Rang was very happy. The little girl who was crying so hard, the little girl who was so sad, seemed to have grown up. No, she has been growing up, and no one can knock her down.